Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
How they do it on TV shows about TV shows.
I really have never been on TV, so
Well, I mean, we're all on TV here.
I was say, except for for this situation.
Now will our on air go, or is this the indication? All right. Well, welcome to the February Tree Advisory Committee meeting. We do not have a quorum today, so we will not be doing our normal voting items or call to order. But we can still do discussion things, so I think we can move forward to the agenda items for discussion.
All right.
First up looks like the McGaw Park resolution.
Yes. So good news. The council did pass the resolution. It did get amended.
Hey.
Yeah. And thank you very much for your advocacy. As you can tell, it's not really something I can advocate for, so I really appreciate everyone advocating for it. And I also really appreciate council actually thinking hard about it, asking good questions. I mean, we had a lot of great questions from council, which is awesome. We had, obviously council come out and 2 members come out and take a tour, which is awesome. I don't know if you guys were able to see the video that FACTv put together. I'll forward it to you guys.
Yeah, forward it to
I will
the
do
group
that.
would be great
Yes,
after this,
I
just
will
so
do
that
that.
everybody has it handy, but
Yeah.
I watched it, it was great.
Were there any questions that we're sharing? That kind of stood out as interesting or?
Yeah, so the thing that was interesting that I didn't expect, so in Park Commission, a park commissioner brought up because I had that whereas clause about the screening for the neighbors, basically. I mean, to prevent.
Yeah.
And so in the Park Commission, they said, well, are we gonna do this for every park? And I was like, well, I didn't really think about it that way. And good point. And so they voted to take that whereas out because they didn't want to set a precedent for catering to the neighbors right adjacent to the park, which I thought was really interesting because I'm like, that's kind
Makes
of
sense to me.
It does, but it's kind of the opposite of what has happened in the past. So I was like, okay, totally fine. So then at council, they were looking at this resolution and they said, well, are we going to talk about the amended one or are we going to talk about, so they basically voted to amend the resolution to take out that whereas clause about the screening. So, and then they approved the resolution. So it was I was
stronger then.
What was that?
It was made stronger.
Yes, I was very
interesting.
It was exceedingly interesting, and it was interesting because the neighbors who came, said that we didn't listen to them and we didn't do all, which is all not true in my mind. But at any rate, and I had said hey, we have that whereas clause in the resolution about screening specifically addressing the concerns that you're hearing tonight, and then they took it out. So I was just like, wow. So basically, what the resolution basically says is that we can implement the plan. In areas 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but the other big meaty thing is that we need to, staff is being directed to create a forest management plan for the whole city because we have 10 woodlots, as you guys are knowing. They're all kind of similar to McGaw. I mean, most of them aren't quite that bad. We have been able to manage some of them okay, but we do need to kind of think about, okay, how are we managing our woodlots across the city? So that's something that we'll come up with that this body will be involved with and have to vote on and move forward and that kind of thing. So that's got added to our task list for 2025 is coming up with that policy of how we're managing woodlots across the city.
Which sounds like another win in my mind. That's something that's what we would want to be doing anyway.
Right,
So.
exactly, yeah. So yeah, exactly. So it was kind of nice that McGaw Park got put more in the context of the community park that it actually is in the city of Fitchburg, which it actually is, instead of being like the back door, you know, the private property of some people who live around there. So at any rate,
Times change, huh?
I was shocked. Like, I was totally shocked.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because I had told Sue, I'm like, Sue, why are we doing this? This is the Army. I kept saying this is the Army crawl over glass. And she's like, and she's so nice. She's like, well, you know, I think, you know, we got to move forward. And I'm like, you're right. And her and Linda were both right. So kudos to everyone who contributed. That's awesome. And now we can actually get in there and do some things, which is great. And I wrote a grant for plant material for parks. And I had in mind that we'd start planting that buffer. Well, now I'm like, great, we'll use it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of money to, we'll probably use some for Arbor Day, we'll probably use some for the dog park and things of that nature. So I was like, okay, well, this is great. So I guess to wrap up, just thank you for everyone who contributed to that effort. And I think, you know, it's a real positive thing, and we can get, you know, we can move forward and start actually managing that park for trees instead of invasive shrubs. So
Well, she's not here to hear it, but I do think Linda really worked hard on that and was very driven to try and help. So
yes, absolutely.
I'll have to remember to thank her.
Yes.
Next time too.
Yes, you know, absolutely. So I guess that's the update, is that it got passed. There was an amendment. I will send you the signed resolution when we have it. It hasn't been signed yet, so once it's signed, I'll send it to you so you've got it. And
Who all signs it? The mayor?
The mayor. Yeah, the mayor. But they had
It's
it.
approved by the council, then the mayor signs it.
Yeah, and then it's official. So it's been amended. It just hasn't been signed because that was Tuesday. Today's Thursday. I don't think she's had the opportunity to sign the amended copy. So
my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that this shouldn't come up with regard to like McGaw Park again. This resolution, the new resolution was attempting to hopefully just undo the previous things they have, so now it could be managed just the way we would do with any of the other woodlots and parks.
Yeah, and then yes, good point. And now we can manage it into the context of the policy that we come up with.
Yeah.
So
whatever policy we apply everywhere can now be applied there, which I think is fair and equitable and the right way to do it. So.
Right. Absolutely. So at any rate, I guess you guys are full of wins. Like last year you had all kinds of wins. This year we've started off with the wins. So this is great. So anyway, so thank you for your efforts, and I'm very impressed that we could make this happen, because I wouldn't have guessed it.
It's really amazing. Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
I just thought there would be a little more resistance. I wasn't sure how this would turn out. So,
Me either.
like, wow.
Right? I know. I understand what you're saying, and I'm on the same page. So anyway, so that's that agenda item. I don't know if anyone else has comments or questions or.
No, also great work from you. So.
Thanks. My son was super sick, so I'm like trying to like deal with him, put sheets in the wash, like open windows because our house smells terrible. Like, and he's kind of mad that I'm not like paying attention. I'm like trying to talk to, you know, Zoom and not be like super frazzled. So it was not my best night, but that's okay. That's how it goes. We all get pulled in a lot of different directions. So, and then finally he's like, why was that so loud? I'm like, sorry, kid. I'm doing what I can do. But anyway, so.
I listened to the meeting on the recording, and I was shocked at some of the things that the opponents said. They seemed terribly, terribly misinformed. And it seems as though maybe we should be doing more in an education direction. I would like to see a write-up of the main reasons why you remove invasives, and I would like to see a specific mention of ticks and songbirds, because I think that most people care about those. And I'd like to see those like in the library, here in the lobby at City Hall, and at the parks where work is being done. So maybe these misguided people will actually see these things.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll make a difference.
Maybe it will. I will say, I mean, I have given lots of tours, as you guys know. The last tour I tried to give of McGaw Park on this whole topic, some of those neighbors showed up and like they wouldn't even let me talk. They were yelling and screaming. They constantly interrupted. They said I was terrible and my predecessor was awesome, and basically I was the big problem and they can't work with me and all these things. I was just like, So it's just like,
So obnoxious.
it's pretty obnoxious, yeah. But anyway, so, but you're right, like, more education would be helpful. And we had lots of educational pamphlets from DNR, among other places, at that event, and that was not of interest. And actually, and one of them did say, we're just trying to let everyone know how the neighbors feel. And I'm like looking at her, she's like, this might not be the best forum. It's like, yes. But anyway, so yes, you're right, though. The education has got to be constant.
Yeah.
When it might be something that, if it hasn't already been covered in Sue's kind of letters to the editor, or whatever she's calling those, I don't remember the published ones in the Stars. They here's information for people. Could be good to put in here's why invasives should be removed, kind of to your point.
Sue Feber did write an article.
I couldn't remember if hers had already covered those or not.
I thought that one was a little hard to follow. I'd like to see something concise.
Yeah, it had a lot of different points in it.
That one was longer and more comprehensive, but I'd like to see something shorter.
Yeah.
Put up on the building that has the restrooms or somewhere, maybe.
Oh, at the park itself.
At the parks, in the library and here at City Hall.
Yeah.
I know you guys aren't fans of Nextdoor, but I still think it might be good to post something on it.
Yeah, anyone can post on there. I'm not on.
That's true, I could do it.
Yeah, I'm not on Nextdoor, but that's not, if people are on there and they'll get information, that's not a bad idea.
I mean, maybe some of our opponents are on Nextdoor.
It might be something that's...
Is there a way to link articles from the Star? For you to link it and share it?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I could link to an article at the Star.
I think you can put
a
URL link in Nextdoor.
You probably can, but then is the Star behind a paywall? It's always annoying
There's
when you try to...
a more generic, not necessarily the Star, but I'm sure there's resources online about the value of removing invasive things.
Yeah, I could link to something that...
And I'm sure if you wanted to talk with Hannah about what to put, what resources are good to make a post, because I think, I wouldn't expect you to be on Nextdoor fighting with all the different neighbors, but that's the kind of thing that I think our committee could be good at is Facebook posts or Nextdoor, things like that, where you're putting out the good information. So.
And to your point, and I think that we do have, if I'm not mistaken, we do have something in the sustainability plan about exactly what you're talking about. And in McGaw, we have an area we as you guys saw the plans, we took the turf out and we put in native shrubs, and then we were going to put the plants in the spring. We didn't quite get it done because, for a variety of reasons, but this we are going to carry the money over and we'll finish it this spring, and a sign there would be appropriate, and things of that nature. So yes, you're right, we do need to kind of continue to educate it and make it easy for people to understand what we're doing.
Yeah, certainly, it may be impossible to reach our opponents, but at least maybe we could stop the spread of this misinformation by educating people who are more open-minded.
Yeah, and I think one big thing that one person kept saying, which is not true, is, well, these invasives are, they're hemmed in McGaw Park by development. Why do we care that they're there? And I'm like, that's not really true, because pretty much everything that's in there got there because it's, as someone else said, which is true, they were, honeysuckle was considered beautiful. It was a nursery, it was a landscape plant, and it does have those berries which happen to be diuretic. So if birds eat those berries, they're not nutritious. They just go somewhere else and the berries go right through the birds and those seeds get spread around. So you can't tell me that the birds are not coming to the edge of McGaw Park and leaving once they eat those berries. So they,
I think she was seeing it as an isolated island of land, and it's not connected to anything, so why does it matter if it's natural or not? I think that's what she was thinking, is it's such a little piece. It's not like you've got 100,000 acres. It's little piece.
Right.
So I think that's what she was thinking in her mind. What difference does it make, this little piece?
Right.
Which is just gets to that lack of education and understanding. A lot of people just don't know that that's even surrounded by houses. It's not
contained.
Yeah, it's not quarantined by any means. It's not its own thing.
Well, and it spreads to other parts of the park too,
Yeah.
which we have to battle. So it's just like, all right, but at any rate. So long story longer, I am very impressed with everyone's work on that. I did not expect it to go the way it did, so I thank everyone for all the work. Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot more to say.
I think then we could probably move on to the next. We've only got 2 things on the agenda.
Yeah, right. No, I kept it pretty light, so we didn't, because I wasn't sure if we'd have enough people. So we did get the grant, the urban forestry grant from the DNR to write a strategic urban forestry management plan. We did, so I put that out to bid, and we did get 3 proposals. The best one is, I graded them all, and the best one I think is EOC, which is, I was really pleased to get, I talked to them quite a bit at 2 different trade shows I was at. And I was pleased to get their bid because they, Dr. Rich Hauer, who's kind of a powerhouse in Wisconsin urban forestry, is on their team, and he's worked with us on other things in the past, and he's a great guy. So I was really, and he already understands a lot about he's already worked with our inventory, he's already worked with our Emerald Ash Borer program. He's really done a lot here already, so he kind of has a little bit of a step forward. And he had the courtesy to call me and talk to me for like an hour and ask me, hey, what are you guys looking for? So, and what do you want? And all these sorts of things. So their proposal, no surprise, because they did some homework, was best tailored to what we wanted, what the RFP was. So they scored the best. So I sent them the contract. I haven't gotten it back yet. So unless they've changed their mind, in theory, we should go with EOC. So hopefully the next meeting, I'll have that all the paperwork ready for us to vote on.
When do they start?
Well, in theory, March 1st.
Oh, wow.
So, or like right around March, but we have to get everything set up, and it's gotta go through the referral process, and I'm just waiting to get that contract back.
And the plan is for how many years?
So it's for 5.
That's what I was thinking.
5 years, yeah. So,
So will they have it for all 5?
No, it's supposed to be done by October. And then
so for them, they have 1 year.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
So each year you put out a bid, it might be somebody different each year?
They make a plan this year for the next project.
So it's a plan for 5 years.
And I can, they get to do work for 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, it all happens at one time. Oh.
Yeah, so it's our 25 to 30 plan. So at any rate, the proposals were fine. One was more of a management plan, and I was like, we don't need a day-to-day management plan. We're not really at that level. We really need that bigger picture plan, because to kind of figure out our staffing and lines of supervision and kind of what we're doing from a big picture level before we go to the day-to-day. So at any rate, so I'm really pleased about that. I will say, so this was a great state of Wisconsin grant. That money is rock solid. I talked to DNR on Tuesday. There's no issues. They have the money. We have a legal agreement with them. This will get paid for, no problem. I will say though, we have as you guys know, the Inflation Reduction Act project that we have going on with Urban Tree Alliance. No one really knows what the deal is with that. So we're still going to do the project. It just might have to get scaled back to what we can pay for, which is much less than what we had originally talked about, depending on if that federal money shows up or not. So it's kind of a little bit it's a little bit murky, but one way or another, we'll get something done. It just is gonna be I was really hoping we could go next level and really, plant the entire Southdale neighborhood. It may just be we replace the trees we took down, which is kind of our typical thing. We'll still do Hugo Jamestown Earth Day. It just may be, instead of 18 trees, it may be more like, 6 or 8 or something. So it may end up getting scaled down, but just because we don't really know what the lay of the land is with that. But at any rate, I just mentioned that because whenever you talk about grants now, people are like, oh, is that federal, whatever. This one's completely safe. This project is of no question. And the Inflation Reduction Act money, I did talk to DNR. They said, well, we have a legal agreement to do this. We're gonna try our best to honor it. So I don't know. So we're still moving forward in a cautious way with a plan that if we're told we have to pull back, we just scale down. We don't just say like, whoops, can't do it. It's just gonna be a scale down. So we're kind of prepared either way. So it'll be okay. It'll just be a lot better if that federal money comes through as originally promised.
Do we have any set, like when are we supposed to get that federal money, or when will we know if we're?
So I had said, because we have to order trees.
Maybe a tough question.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta order trees, right?
Yeah.
So I had said, okay, let's just order the scale back, because we have to order by the end of the month. So let's just order the scale back to start with kind of a hold order of the scale up. So that's what we're gonna do and see how it shakes out. And then if we do get the scale up, but we do have to know by March, you know, I mean, it's March, if we don't know by mid-March, I don't know what to say.
Time's ticking away pretty fast.
It is. So, and that's sort of the unfortunate thing is, we have our spring tree planting out for bid. I did have one contractor tell me she was not bidding on our stuff this year because she had a big Inflation Reduction Act project she was working on. So I hope it comes through for her. I'm just like, oh, geez. So anyway, it's kind of, so the apple cart's a little bit messed up because in theory, urban forestry in Wisconsin was supposed to have this injection of $4 million.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, well, is that happening or not? And we actually had another person not bid on our plan because he said, you know, I'm too busy with these other things. He had given us a time frame he couldn't start until July. I was like, well, you can put a bid together. I don't know how competitive that's going to be because we do need it by October. So at any rate, long story longer, there's no worries on this particular project funding wise. The IRA funding is sort of, I don't know that anyone knows, to be honest. It doesn't sound like it's a real clear situation. Anyway, so any questions about this project or?
No, I think the main thing is if we are going to be voting on like approving a contract for the, I don't know how the process works if.
There'll be a resolution because it's a $25,000 project. So that there'll be a resolution that I've put it together. I'm just waiting to get that contract back because I don't want to get too far ahead.
So does the tree advisory committee need to approve the resolution and then it goes to council or, okay.
Yeah. So our timing might get a little bit messed up, but that's fine.
Okay.
I've already talked to them about timing and we're
as long as that's okay. Just getting all this stuff in advance of the next meeting would be helpful.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
To vote on it. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Or at least to read it before we vote on it.
Absolutely. So anyway, so I feel like we're in a positive place from that perspective. And I did talk to Rich. He will have, even though I did not have the woodlot management policy in our RFP because I wasn't sure what was going to go on with that. I did talk to him. I said, hey, just so you know, we've got this resolution kind of pending. We may need to work with you a little bit on this woodlot thing. And he said, fine. So we can kind of fold that into this effort to some extent.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I think it'll work out. It'll work out fine. So, and he does have a degree in forestry as well as urban forestry. So, which is forestry, like boards and cords forestry as well as more of the urban forestry. So he's a really great guy to kind of help us with all of that. Anyway, so that's kind of that situation.
Great.
I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments or, okay.
I guess the only, I think grading them and going with this proposal makes the most sense. Let's say if there was any kind of a price difference, it kind of doesn't matter because the grant is paying for it all?
Yeah, it's a 25 grand. So one of the RFP, one of the things they had to answer is like, what is your scope of services for 25 grand?
Oh, okay.
So
it's not a price difference, it's what are we getting for what
Yes.
we're paying, and we already set the maximum, so.
yes, and
okay.
I told Rich when he called me, I said, hey, we need you guys to do the outreach, like we need you, because one of the proposals is like, they'll give us the outreach materials and then we do all the survey work and and I'm like, that's not what we're like.
Yeah,
that's
we
really
don't have the
what
resources for that.
Exactly, so anyway, so EOC is gonna do that, and another one says, oh, we're gonna use your website. I'm like, well, that's, fine, but we need more than that, like, we're gonna have to have some in-person meetings and things of that nature, so the criteria was the qualifications of the firm, the relevant experience of the firm, the outreach, and I said outreach to residents, and the quality of the proposal. So that's how I rated them.
Great.
And it was pretty straightforward, in terms of qualifications, certified arborist, just plain certified arborist, anyone who's got beyond that, burgomaster certified arborist, municipal specialist, that sort of thing, MS, PhD. So it broke down pretty. It was fairly straightforward. There's not really too much question about how the grading worked.
And that makes it easier to say confidently that this is the right one, which is the only,
Right.
I trust your judgment on it, but mostly I was thinking if there was a, tough question between them that we'd want to make sure we could explain why this one is the the better choice.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I think, and they've done more of the strategic big picture plans, whereas Arbor Pro, which they gave us a nice proposal, but it's very day-to-day inspecting fleets, recommending trucks, like that's really not where we're at. We're not putting, if we're putting together a CIP project,
Yeah.
fine, but that's not really what we're doing here. So it was just kind of at a different level, you know, talking about you know, day-to-day staff management. I'm like, you know, we don't, that's not really relevant at this moment. So anyway, it shook out pretty, it was actually pretty easy to grade. So anyway, so that's that, yeah, so that's that project. And tree bids are due next week, so hopefully we've already got 2 that came in, so we'll have at least 2 to look at, which is good. We usually get like 7, but
2
we'll
what?
2, so far tree bids are due next week, and we already have 2 they have come in, which is awesome. And so next week we'll probably get a couple more, and we'll see how that goes.
Excellent. All right. Do we want to just do the report from department?
Yeah.
Anybody has announcements?
Sure, yeah, I have something to add. So I did apply for a grant from the Million Trees Foundation again, and we did get it. Like, I thought we did it because I hadn't heard from them, and I just found out last Tuesday that we got it. And it was interesting that came in the day that the council meeting happened, which is totally fine. So we'll get that funding again and that's specifically to put trees in parks with volunteers. So last year we did Chicory Meadows, we did McGaw, and we did Wildwood Kettle, I think. What else? Anyway, so this year it's going to be Chicory again, and then the dog park, and maybe another one, depending on how things shake out. But yeah, so that was great. So I was really
That's
pleased.
excellent news.
Yeah, so I was really pleased that they funded us again.
So it'll fund about how many trees?
Last year we did 64 or something like that.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was. It was, and then that was matched by, the neighborhood association matched it. So it probably was more in that 30 range, maybe 35, because the neighborhood association matched the grant, so we got more trees. So I kind of forgot about that. So yeah,
Nice.
It was great. It was really super great, and I really appreciate the support from Alliant Energy, who I think is the money behind it. So that's awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's good to get that support. Anything else we've just been doing normal stuff. We've been going berserk on, just trying to get ready for spring tree planting and taking down the storm damage from last summer that we didn't get taken down. We've done a lot of pruning. I can't remember everything I put in my report, but and we did this. Sue, who was awesome, did this whole huge seed collecting thing last fall, which is awesome. And I do about 2% of the seed collecting, and then I helped her clean a little bit, again, less than probably 5%. And then she gives the seed to a friend who cleans it for us, and so we have all this awesome seed, which is awesome. And I already put some in SC Johnson, which is great. And so we're doing pretty well on the natural area stuff, and we've got a couple different volunteer things that we're trying to line up for spring, and we just have a lot cooking, which is great.
A lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, which is really good. So.
I did have a question on one. I was just curious on the 44 trees that need to be removed.
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Are
Excellent question.
Are any of those
They're
good
fine.
trees?
Yeah, they're all fine. They're black walnut. Well, there's so in there. So you're talking about the Calistiga Greenway. Yeah. So the plan that so the site plan calls for putting a prairie in there.
Putting what?
A prairie in that area. And so from the beginning, I have said, well, this is a wooded area. Maybe it'd make more sense to leave some trees, whatever. So I went in there with one of the organizers of the whole thing, and to talk about trees that need to come out. And I was like, well, if you're gonna put a prairie here, we really do need to take out the black walnut, and it's about 44 of them. They had put goats in there last summer, so there's some box elders and some mulberries that are damaged by goats. I did mark those. We should take those out anyway. It's kind of up to administration. I'm not really sure that I don't know what we're gonna do in terms of put a prairie in there or not. I would say leave the walnut trees, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I did say, hey, you guys have
Where is it? What's it near?
It's right off the Yarmouth Greenway.
The what?
Yarmouth Greenway. So it's along the Capital City Trail, right where Yarmouth Greenway hits Longford Terrace. So
Down.
yeah. Yeah, it's downhill, right, you're coming down a pretty big hill.
Yeah. Yeah, very tree area.
It is, yep. Yep, so, I mean, we did take out all the invasive shrubs, which I thought was appropriate. Yeah, so I mean, I marked the trees because that's what that they had asked for, and we'll see. And I did say like, hey, the box elders that were damaged by goat browse and the mulberry that were damaged by goat browse, we should take those out anyway. I think those are the only ones who are actually gonna get taken out, but there's, but every tree in there is marked because that would be what would have to happen in order to make it a prairie. But I don't, yeah, so we'll see.
But there's supposed to be a seating area, bench put in, isn't there?
Yeah, so there's supposed to be, so the site plan calls for a bench and a memorial and a bike repair stand and some other things. So, and so, I mean, and to be honest, I feel like trees are compatible with all that, but I don't know. Part of the trick is you can't really grow a whole lot under black walnut, so you're somewhat limited on what you can grow there. But since they're happy and they're growing there great, I'm like, I don't know. So we'll see.
I'm not well informed, but my gut reaction is that it would be nice to leave healthy trees.
I would agree. Well, and the thing is, like, they cost us nothing.
Yeah.
They cost us nothing. They're there. They're just gonna grow and get better.
And nuts are good food for wildlife.
Yeah, or if someone wants to grab some nuts, take them home, go for it. I mean, like, yeah. So we'll see. I'm not really sure how that all is gonna shake out, but I did go there and mark all those trees. It was really cold, and I'm like, this is good in my staff report. So anyway, so yes, so that's an excellent question.
Does it have a deadline date? Like if I go there, but I go there when it's a little warmer, does that matter? Am I gonna miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not really in charge, but I think you're probably fine. I mean, we don't have any plans to take those trees down as far as I know.
Okay.
So, and it would be a fair bit of work. I'm just like, to get all those trees down, to treat all those stumps and get rid of all of that brush, like, and the thing is,
It's expensive.
it's expensive, right? And like, what do we gain? And then I did tell the folks, I said, you know what? Squirrels will replant nuts here. Just so you know, the squirrels planted these trees. The squirrels will keep doing that. So,
because there's still a lot of walnuts further around. Yeah, so they'll keep bringing them in. Yeah, so it's a continuous project. Yeah,
it would be, so it's just like, and for me, I'm like, let's work with the site, but I don't know. So that's an excellent question.
Is there a way, or not having seen it, to thin it out to make it a little more appealing versus maybe it's haphazard or anything like that to make it like nicer for people that take a stop there or anything?
That would be, yeah, I think so. I mean, I have said like, hey, let's leave some of the trees that are there. But yeah, I mean, I think anything is possible. And I did say like, hey, I'm just wondering how flexible this plan is, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Who was driving this plan? Who wants to cut those trees down?
Well, so basically the person whose idea it was, I guess, is the woman who unfortunately lost her husband. Very nice lady, and so I think it was her idea. And then Steve Arnold is he's the one that's kind of been going to committees and doing everything. And and they had a graduate student work on it, which is great. And the plan is beautiful. But from the beginning, I've been like, does this plan fit this site or this situation?
Yeah.
I mean, like it's a lovely plan, and and it's a nice idea, and I feel terrible for the poor woman who lost her husband, and what a great way to honor him, on and on and on.
He was a big biker, so I think that's
Yes.
one of the reasons for the bike
Yes.
repair and the place to sit, which is true. If you go along there, if you want to sit, you got to sit on the ground, so there's no seating area, so that both of those are nice and I think appropriate.
Yeah. In this area, it's a city-owned outlot, and it's an outlot for a couple different reasons. Partly there's MMSD's infrastructure going through there, so that's part of so it is public land. It was not dedicated as parkland. It's outlot.
Like sort of like a utility space area.
Yeah, so there's a manhole cover there, and there's a pipe, MMSD pipe that runs through there. So I'm not putting any judgment on the idea at all. Whatever happens is great. But it's like, well, do we need to take all these trees down or not? Or I think we need to think through, what do we gain from that? What do we gain from leaving them? What's the...
It seems like a waste of money, and it doesn't. Why do these people have the power to ram this project through? What is their
I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's a good question, Ann. I don't know. Yeah.
So is anything being funded by anybody else, or is the city supposed to be funding?
We don't have budget for it. And I told them that. I'm like, we don't have the budget or the time to do this. So
Okay, so there's been no fundraising or anything to kind of put toward it?
I think they have
did their
done.
own
I think they did fundraising.
A little
yeah.
bit, so there's some.
I think so. I don't know what that looks like. Like Fitchburg's the treasury for it or the fiduciary for it or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think they have been doing fundraising, but yeah, so I don't
I think
know.
that's one of the places where our committee can hopefully move in the future is trying to, I think the bike people in Fitchburg have this idea that they are against trees and forestry, like that there's a competition or some sort of adversarial, like we've got to take out the trees to make room for the bike paths and kind of they get seemingly defensive when we bring in ideas of, well, we could keep the trees here and don't bikers want shade too and all those other things. And so I think that's something that we can potentially improve in the future because I know some of the people who are more bike heavy have seemed like there's a kind of contest there that I don't think needs to be. It's a little bizarre.
No, you're right.
We could all be working towards the same goals.
I agree. And to be honest, like just from my personal opinion, like putting a prairie there or having trees there, I think we'd be farther along to a nicer spot leaving the trees, instead of waiting for a prairie to get established, dealing with weeds, like having to burn, like it's just like the site I think lends itself more to shade than it does to prairie. But I mean, I've said that from the beginning, and that's I don't know what else to. I mean, I'm not in charge of it, so I can't really say too much. But at any rate, yes, all excellent questions.
Yeah, I'm wondering who would have the power to steer this project in a better direction.
I don't know.
It's unclear from the website who's really like in charge besides Bike Fitchburg. Looks like the group that is big in there.
Yeah.
I don't see why they should have the right to do whatever they want with the site. I'm confused.
I think they got some amount of approval from Parks Commission
they went to Parks Commission and they did go to council. Yeah.
So it's a new project to me, but it looks like perusing their website. This is something that has gone through some of the governmental processes to get.
But nobody talked about the trees, I bet.
Not
Or
really. I mean,
thought about like what you were saying about how does that fit the situation of what's around it and the extra cost of maintaining or et cetera.
So just tell you my experience with the project. So I didn't even know this was happening at all. And so I was just told, hey, come to this meeting, blah, blah. So I showed up to the meeting and it was the grad student, presenting the plans. And I was like looking at it and I was like, because as to your point, like the site's heavily wooded, there's lots of trees there. And the site was, the plan was for prairie and all these things. And I had just said like, hey, we might want to consider the trees that are there already. And then it was thrown out, well, there's really nothing desirable there, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, well, let's go look, blah, blah, blah. So at least we kind of went to look and I did say like, hey, these trees are fine. Why would we take them out? So they may be flexible with that. I really don't know. But I will say like, we're not, as far as I can tell, we're not going to send staff in there to clear that. I mean, that's not really in our best interest. Like, I don't know why we would do that. So.
Would it be worth talking to Sue Easterday?
She would give you more of she probably knows more of a background than I do. Yeah. And so it's kind of an interesting situation. But anyway, but yes, I was there and I totally agree, like, why would we take these trees down? But we'll see. And I think like I have said, I think the trees can be compatible with the bench, with the memorial, with the bike repair stand, with those sorts of things. I don't think it excludes it. And I honestly think it would be nicer, but I'm a tree person, so so that's kind of my opinion. And also would save on nursery stock, because the nursery stock, and I had said, hey, you guys have some really expensive nursery stock listed on your plant list. But anyway, so we'll see how that all shakes out. But thank you for kind of, noticing that, and Sue would be an excellent person to talk to. Anything else that folks are? Okay. A lot going, which is awesome.
Always something interesting to talk about on your report.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Always find some interesting things and just kind of,
Yeah, because as I go, I kind of, every couple of days, I'm like, So I don't forget. So otherwise it's easy to kind of let things slip. But yeah, so, and we also, I didn't put this on there, but we also got our fruit trees pruned this winter because there's no snow. So the guys had time to do that, which is the first time I think ever we've got all of our city orchards pruned, which is amazing.
Where are they? I
So
didn't know we
there's-
had city orchards.
Yeah, so there's one in Swan Creek, and there's one in Belmar, and there's one in, well, we didn't, there's one in Southdale. We didn't prune that one because I'm not sure what kind of trees some of those are, to be honest. I have to figure that out. Anyway, there's one in Southdale, and then, where's the other one? We have 4. Now I'm drawing a blank. Creek, Belmar, Southdale. I'll have to get back to you on where the 4th one is. But they got approved, which is awesome. So I thought
Like
that
how
was
many are there in each one? Like 4 or 5, or is it like 20 or?
So it's like 6. So Belmar is 6, and then Southdale is about 6, and then Swan Creek is probably about 8, which is great. And then the one I'm forgetting is, I don't know because I can't remember. So anyway, why am I drawing a blank here? So at any rate, so I thought that was a total win. Like the no snow is kind of an odd thing. I'm a little worried about drought, but we have gotten some work done, which is great. So we also got Curry Court cleaned up, which is amazing. Like
got
there's
what?
Curry Court cleaned up. There's all these dead trees in there. It used to be a tree nursery and it had flooded. There's all these dead trees in there. It looked terrible. There was all these invasives in there. We got in there because it was dry. We got in there, took out all the dead trees, forced remote all the invasives, did all the herbicide treatment, and it actually looks really good. So
Might as well use the weather to our advantage. It's not like we can control whether it's snowy, so.
no, so I was just like, wow. I told the guys, I'm like, you guys are farming the weather. But anyway, I don't know if that even makes sense, but I was just like, to your point, like totally taking advantage. Because you can't get in there hardly ever because it's always flooded, it's always muddy, it's just awful. And then it's like 6
When
feet.
it's dry and cold for a while, you're.
Right, you're in business. So anyway, so we got a lot of, we have been getting a lot of stuff done this winter, which is great, and kind of stuff that should always happen that doesn't because people get pulled away to do things like clear snow. So anyway, all right. I feel like I'm talking your ears off.
Any announcements that anybody has?
Our next meeting is in March on March.
I think I already have that in my calendar, but.
Let's see here. It is. Why I have such trouble.
March 13th?
Yes, thank you.
Good, because that's what's on my calendar.
All right.
And I don't think I need to do a real formal adjournment since we didn't formally call to order. But
All right. And I'll have the minutes from, so I won't make minutes for this meeting since we really didn't do anything, but we'll approve the January minutes in March.
okay,
So
makes sense.
yeah, so we'll kind of go from there. And I appreciate everyone coming out and all your advocacy, and I feel like we've really got a lot of good momentum, which is awesome. So thank you for all your work. It does not go unnoticed.
Thank you very much.